This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
What's up, Detroit sports fans? Welcome back to the Fan Reporter Show, made by fans, for fans, powered by the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I'm Nick, and sitting right across from me on Bobby Bonilla Day and Canada Day is my boy Andrew, who's going to give us this week's topic.
I don't even know who Bobby Bonilla is. NBA free agency kicked off with a bang yesterday, and among many eligible bachelors, the Pistons got a rose. But before we get into that, Nick was on site at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Rocket Mortgage Classic. So we will get his take on the first ever PGA Tour to be held in Detroit city limits.
That was really cute. The whole Pistons got a rose. I liked that. Well done.
Thank you.
And to answer your question, Bobby Bonilla is a player who played for the Mets, and then in his contract buyout or in his end of career situation, he ended up receiving $1.193 million, so $1,193,000 a year to 2035.
I remember hearing
so
about this guy.
he gets on July 1st every single year he gets $1,193,000 from the New York Mets.
I remember.
Dude never has to work.
We talked about this in one of the classes I took in high school.
Dude literally never has to work a day in his life. He gets 1.1 mil a year for the longest time.
At least for the next 5-6 years. So
Till 2035.
at least to 2025.
I'm pretty sure it's 2035. I can be sure, but I'm pretty sure it keeps going. Yeah. For a long time. For the longest time. Anyways, though.
I'd like to be in his shoes.
What?
I'd like to be in his shoes.
Oh, dude. That'd be amazing. Do you know how much golf I'd play?
It's until he's 72. It's for the next 16 years still. So yeah, 2035.
That's incredible. He doesn't have to do a damn thing. He literally just has to sit on his ass all day and be healthy enough to stay alive. Mm-hmm. Do you know how much golf I'd play?
You play every day easily.
Yeah. I would honestly, God, be playing so much. I'd probably be good enough to just play on the tour.
You'd be living in a warm weather state where you can golf year round.
Absolutely.
And you'd be playing every single day.
I'd probably be playing in Florida.
You'd probably
living
get good
in Florida.
enough to become a PGA Tour golfer.
Exactly, and then I'd be making more money. I'd be like Nate Lashley and be an alternate to qualify, and then win a handsome 1.3 mil. That'd be a nice payday. How'd you like to have a week of golf where you show up in the destination?
I mean, that's his yearly payday, about 1.2, right?
I know, but that would be a double. How would you like to be a guy who flies into a city for a PGA Tour event to qualify for it? You don't have a spot yet. You qualify as the alternate, so you don't have a spot in the tournament. Wednesday comes around, tournament starts the next day. They finally give you a call that somebody dropped out, you're in. So you were the last man in, and you proceed to go out and absolutely demolish the golf course. Mm-hmm. It's not like he battled his way to win and came from behind or had this just awesome comeback. Dude straight up demolished from the beginning. He won by freaking 6 strokes. Jesus. 5 or 6 strokes, whatever it was. He destroyed everybody. At one point, on Sunday, the final round, at one point, he had an 8-stroke lead.
Did you follow him at all?
Yes, I did. And that takes us into our first topic here, obviously. But
Nick's following the leader. That's what I've been doing the entire time.
I got to go to the Rocket Mortgage Classic this past weekend. Mm-hmm. I went for the final round on Sunday. Mm-hmm. I went with my dad and my little brother. We were gonna go on Saturday, but we ended up getting tickets just a smidget too late. They were sold out, so we ended up going on Sunday. Mm-hmm. For market price, whatever it was from the Rocket Mortgage Class. Actually, no, my little brother got them cheaper.
Oh, okay.
Because he got them through because his work is affiliated with the city or something. I don't know. Oh. We showed up at about 11, so quite a bit after the day started. Mm-hmm. So kind of in the thick of it. The final, there was a good number of groups who hadn't even teed off yet. The final group didn't even tee off till 2 o'clock, which was Nate Lashley and I can't remember. JT is his first name. I know that. I don't remember his last name. But the group before that had Patrick Reed in it. Another big name. He's a major winner. Anyways, so we get there, and we're walking around a little bit, and I noticed one thing I noticed the most Dan Gilbert spared no expense in advertising Rocket Mortgage.
Oh, well, it's called the Rocket Mortgage Classic.
You couldn't turn without a giant Rocket Mortgage sign in your face.
Yep.
Like, you could not
surprised.
turn anywhere without seeing it everywhere. It was quite literally everywhere. Especially around the 14, 15, 16, 18 holes. Like, those holes right there in particular, because they kind of, like, butted up against each other. Those holes in particular, which were primarily where all the grandstand and the cabanas were and everything, that's where you saw it the most, because there was zero other ads besides them for this tournament. So I guess, Andrew, do you have any questions before I give you my total thoughts on the tournament?
Yes. My one question, because I've heard some opinions on this, from what you could tell, what was the condition of the course like?
So, if you remember Friday night when we had gone out and we had watched some highlights of it, and we looked at the golf course and we on TV, like we saw on TV, and I said I wasn't all that impressed with it. I was hoping to have it be a little bit better of a showcase of Detroit than it looked. The course looked easy by comparison. It didn't look like a PGA golf course from the little bit I had seen on TV. So I went in not impressed. I got to the golf course on Sunday, and I was absolutely blown away. It was incredible. It was very, very beautiful. The course was absolutely very well taken care of. They did a very good job of making it as long as possible. They got 7,400 yards out of it, which I was, or 7,340, which I was shocked by that they got 7,000 yards out of that golf course. Granted, they literally made it as long as physically possible. Like, they pushed the tee boxes back as far as they could go. But I was very impressed with the conditions the course were in. I was very impressed with the difficulty they got out of it. Do they need to make it more difficult? Yes. It's not entirely a great look to see the winner being 24 under. Granted, second place was 18 under, or 19 under, whatever it was. So, that's not an unheard of golf score. I know that at the Waste Management Open, the winner, I believe, was 17 or 18 under as well, and that's a really well-known golf tournament at the beginning of the year in Phoenix. But overall, I feel like they need to add a few more water hazards. There's no river running through it, so it's hard to feed into a water hazard there. I saw really one or two holes that had any kind of water. They need to add a few more bunkers around the green, maybe make just a little bit tougher around the greens, because where the trouble on a lot of the holes that I saw, where the trouble would have been in play for you and I off the tee. But I mean, in one hole in particular, which it looked very well guarded, on the left side of the fairway, there was a couple of large pot bunkers that seemingly were in play off the tee if you were left. And I'm thinking, and you don't have a lot of room right because of the trees. And don't get me wrong, the trees on that golf course are absolutely beautiful. They're these beautiful, old, tall, they're gorgeous. And they were everywhere. The course is wide open. The fairways were a massive landing area, and the course is wide open. But the trees around the edge, there wasn't a lot of rough space. If you missed right, I mean, I saw guys missing right into the other sides of into other fairways. So that tells you if you miss to the left or right, you could be in the next hole over, and then you have a tough shot coming back. You got to hit over these massive trees, or through these massive trees. But, I mean, back to the bunkers, on that hole in particular, where I thought they would be in play, these dudes were 50 yards beyond it. So they were not even in play. So the trouble on what looked like to be a very difficult hole turned into a drive and a short pitch onto the green. So it wasn't all that difficult. I mean, you might have to make the greens a little faster. I know the greens are pretty fast, but you might think about making them even faster, adding some more bunkers to add some difficulty, maybe turning one of the par 5s into a par 4, making it par 71. You'll have the scores come down at that point. There's just certain things that they can tweak for next year that I'm sure they will to make it a little bit more difficult so you don't have scores into the 20 unders.
Yeah.
In terms of the conditions of the course, how the grounds looked, the accessibility for fans, I give nothing but an A to the event organizers, to the PGA, to the city of Detroit. It was incredible.
Nice.
And you could very easily tell that Detroit wants this to become an every year event. And they want it to be something that draws the big names. And the reason is, the biggest telltale sign of that to me is the fact that it was a $7.1 or $7.4 million prize pot. That's bigger than the Waste Management Open, with the winner getting $1.3 million. The Waste Management Open is 7.1 mil. This was 7.4. That tells you that they're trying to make this an every year event and going to be trying to draw the big names because of the amount of money that they're wanting to put into this in terms of a prize purse to attract some of those bigger names. And because of that, I think you will see some of the bigger names in years to come. You know, the Bubba Watson who came this year. Granted, he missed the cut. Dustin Johnsons, maybe the Brooks Koepkas. At some point, you had Ricky Fowler come. Yeah. You will see some of those names come to play at the Rocket Mortgage Classic in years to come, as long as you keep that prize purse that high and the course in as good of conditions. When I got there, first thing we did was we were walking up to the 10th tee right as Ricky Fowler was walking up. So we said, boom, we're going to watch. Like, this was one of the guys we came to see. And watching a player of the status of Ricky Fowler just has a certain appeal to it. And watching these guys swing the club is just, it's so sweet and
doesn't make you feel terrible at golf.
Oh my God, it so does. Like watching these guys so seemingly effortlessly hit the ball 300 yards off the tee just makes you feel like you're garbage. But it's so cool to watch.
Yeah.
And one thing I feel like golf does so much better than any other sport is the level of accessibility that the fans have with a lot of these golfers, because you can have yourself just a general admission ticket, a grounds ticket, and be front row. You can follow whatever golfer you want and be front row.
Yeah.
Just for the general ticket.
Mm-hmm. You just don't have access like the tents and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But honestly, who needs that? I think, actually, I've heard one of the downfalls of the tournament was the cabanas and the tents, because they had a lack of really good food and the beer was warm. So they gotta up the quality in those areas.
What about the various activities going on around the course? Like I heard there was a lot of stuff going on.
It was primarily just golf. There was stuff going on, but there wasn't. I mean, I didn't really notice too much. It was primarily just walking around and playing and watching the golf, which honestly was extremely enjoyable as it was. Because
you get to visit each hole.
Oh yeah. You walk around. You can go to whatever hole you want. I mean, we went from 10 to 11 to 12 to 13, 14. We walked all the way back to 3, or we walked all the way back around to grab something to eat. Then walked to number 1, which is when we saw Patrick Reed tee off, and then we saw Lashley tee off, and we followed them around for a little bit, and then we walked over to 13 or 14, which is where all the big party holes are, where the big events are, and we were sitting at a par 3, which looked like a really difficult par 3. We saw Danny Lee almost hit a hole-in-one on that. It was nuts, man. First off, give you an idea of how difficult this par 3 was. It was 160 yards, so a pitching wedge for these guys. Doesn't sound that difficult, no water, but you couldn't see the green. It was elevated, and you had mounds of just thick, long grass right in front of it, and the green was sloped down. You couldn't see your landing spot unless you were like 50 feet from the pin on the left. And we saw Danny Lee hit this beautiful high, soft shot, get a really nice bounce, and hit the pin, and the entire crowd went, oh, it was insane. I went, oh my God, it was so close.
And was that on a party hole too, or?
It's not, there's no real party hole. It's where all the grandstands were, so it's loud.
Yeah.
It's very loud there. I saw one guy on this hole, to be in particular, miss right of the green, end up in the bunker, and throw his golf club.
Oh, that's fun.
It was fun. It was just like this, and it was a really, it was kind of like a bat flip in baseball almost, but he just took it and slammed it against the ground and bounced everywhere, and I was like, ooh, we got some emotion. But it was really fun getting to see Ricky Fowler, who's one of my favorite golfers. He just brings a level of entertainment to the game of golf, that a youth level of entertainment to the game of golf that you didn't see. Getting to see Patrick Reed was really cool. Getting to see Nate Lashley and his story is absolutely unbelievably incredible. With the plane crash when he was in college, with his mother and his father and his girlfriend at the time dying in it. And then coming back from that, being a real estate salesman, making the tour, and then finally winning a golf event. Only the third alternate, I was told this, I don't know if I haven't confirmed this, but only the third alternate in the history of the PGA to win a tournament.
Wow.
So I believe John Daly did it as like a fourth alternate and won a major, but he was the third player to qualify as an alternate and win a tournament. From what I've heard, I don't know. I can't confirm that. I was actually told that by John from Detroit Sports Podcast. I got to meet up with him, talk a little bit of golf, talk a little bit of basketball. It was a good time. It was really nice to catch up, meet up with him, and we walked together for quite a few holes, and then we split off once we went back to 13 and to watch par 3, and then we ended up taking off. But we left. I mean, we had been there for like 6 hours when we left, and all three of us were like cooked. Like it was hot and sunny.
Oh yeah, I know.
The breeze was real nice.
I was
like the breeze
outside
was
all day
nice,
too,
but it was
so.
hot. But I mean, it was. I mean, it. Honest to God, it was a wonderful showcase for the city of Detroit. It was a wonderful showcase for Detroit Golf Club. And it was a wonderful showcase to bring golf back to the state of Michigan, in particular, bring it into the city of Detroit. I was proud of my city. I was proud of my state. I was very happy to see, the amount of people there. There was a ton of people there. It was packed. Fun. One of the guys who could finish in the top 5 was actually from Jackson, Michigan.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty cool.
I spent some time there.
I was just, it was an absolutely wonderful event. I speak nothing but praises of it. I had no problems with anything. I did see a guy get hit in the crowd. Literally, honestly, ball came in right over my head and hit a guy no more than 10 feet from me, right in the back. And then some lady stepped on the ball, and it was Lashley's ball. Actually, it was like the third hole was his tee shot. We ended up skipping the tee box and going straight to where the landing spot was.
So him in the back,
fairway.
So I'm assuming he's okay.
Yeah, he was perfectly fine. He didn't even say anything. He just. He was working the event, but he didn't even say anything. He was perfectly fine. But
I'd be like, "Can you sign the welt?"
But they pulled up the ropes and pushed everybody back so that he could get a swing off. And some lady, it was really cool to see the actual what happens when a fan interferes with the ball in play, because a lady ended up stepping on the golf ball. So, and if that happens, it was really cool to see the PGA rules official come over and kind of tell Nate Lashley what happened and what you're allowed to do here. So basically, he got a club length span from where the ball was when the lady stepped on it, because she stepped on it and it sunk. It went straight down. Oh. And in between where his club length was, I don't know. She wasn't paying attention, but. Club length in there, he got to place the ball, not even drop it. He got to place it, which is even better because it was a fan interfered on the ball, so we got to just kind of set his line. He put up just a beautiful shot right on a great punch out right onto the green from there, rolled up very nicely. It's really cool. But I was literally right there. I mean, I can show you pictures. I was literally right behind him on that shot when it happened, and obviously everybody behind him's going. So that's where we were, literally right there.
So to all you podcast listeners, he is to the right of the golfer.
Behind him. I'm behind him.
Well, behind him to his right shoulder, but behind him. Yeah.
Right.
Looking under a guy in a red shirt, looking under his armpit.
That's the guy who got hit. Actually, the guy in the red shirt.
Oh, okay.
And the guy in the blue was actually John.
Okay.
So, I was.
I'm looking at John's phone. Looks like he has a better angle.
He did have a better angle than I did. Granted, he was taking pictures for the network. So,
yeah.
But it was just an awesome event. The level of accessibility. I mean, I saw off of one of the guys that we watched right before Ricky Fowler on the 10th. He teed off on the 10th and then immediately pulled out a golf ball from his pocket and just gave it to a kid. Wow. Fist bumped the kid. I saw golfers going up to the crowd, fist bumping people. I mean, the level of accessibility when it comes to golf and fan interaction is just absolutely incredible. I love it. You don't get that in any other sports, whereas in the NBA, they try to stay as far away from fans as possible. And God forbid you take pictures of them because they'll throw your phones. But it was nothing but everybody's got their phone out when they're right there and you're blasting your phone on them. And it's just a really cool event. I was really happy that it came to Detroit. I was really excited that I got to go. I definitely highly recommend going next year when it comes back.
Is that an if or a when?
No, when. I'm very positive that it's going to be coming back next year. I think they may have put it in a 3 or 5 year commitment to it. I can't confirm that, but I'm pretty sure they have. I hope so, because I hope this thing doesn't ever go away. I was very impressed. I honestly hope we get 2 events here in Detroit. Not in Detroit necessarily, but in Michigan. Play one at Detroit Golf Club with the Rock and Mortgage Classic. Maybe play one at Warwick Hills, where the Buick Open has been in the past, and up in Flint. Buick Open's been there a couple of times. I've been to that event. Or if you have a really big tournament that comes out, put it at Oakland Hills. That's a major destination.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be a really good destination.
The problem is, if you put a regular golf tournament there, it kind of does take away from the allure of it.
Hasn't a PGA tournament played at Oakland Hills before?
It's held the U.S. Open and the PGA Championship and the Ryder Cup.
Okay,
like it's held. If you put a regular tournament there, though, it does take away some of the allure of it being a major destination.
They are hosting second in 2020.
They are good.
June 25th to 28th.
Good. I will be there. I'm telling you right now, I will be there. I was very happy with. I was very excited.
Are you going to get the gold patron package? It's complete with afternoon hors d'oeuvres.
No, I will probably just get a grounds pass again. Honestly, that is the best way to watch golf. Just walk around.
Professional golf swing analysis. What do you get, like a tablet and like?
Probably. They probably just have a local, like the Detroit Golf Club local pro.
Let's follow you around and like, this is what happened.
No, you probably go to their range on like a random on like Tuesday.
Analyze your swing.
Yeah,
I thought we were analyzing the swings. Okay.
No, that's probably. I really don't know for sure, but that's what I would imagine the pro golf analysis would be, swing analysis. But
it's
anyways,
unnecessary.
No, in my opinion, the way to watch it is just get a grounds pass, walk around.
Yeah.
Watch different players, just have fun. It was a great time. Yeah. Honestly, God, it was a great time. I was very happy, and I was very, very impressed with not only the city of Detroit, but Detroit Golf Club as well. So, well done.
All right. And tickets went up to like $150 after they sold out.
I saw them get down to $102.
By Saturday night, they were back down to like $57.
And you didn't get one?
No, because I already knew I had to study on Sunday. So I'm not
come on.
Because, Friday we bullshitted. So.
Oh, man.
So, anyway. So the Pistons, free agency kicked off with a bang yesterday. One of the wildest NBA free agencies in my memory.
That was wild.
Yeah.
It was a wild day, and it was technically the legal tampering period. It wasn't even actual. Like, doesn't that kind of take away from the fun of actual free agency? Like, what is the point of the legal tampering period? We even know values of contracts.
Yeah, like just make it, just extend it.
There is obviously going to be we've already had 1 or 2 trades fall through.
Yeah,
there obviously is going to be certain deals that'll fall through, but normally not any of the bigger ones. I believe the situation when DeAndre Jordan was going to the Mavericks, and then he wasn't going to the Mavericks, and he ended up staying in LA when they basically held him hostage in LA, and Mark Cuban was running around LA neighborhoods trying to find him. That was during legal tampering period. When that deal fell through, I remember that. That was an absolutely hilarious saga. Why that needs to happen more.
Yeah. So the Pistons were one of the first movers.
Yes, I mean they moved. I mean they've been trying to make obvious directional moves and grab players of need from the very beginning of the offseason with the Tony Snell move, and then immediately bringing in, as you mentioned in the pre-show, a Rose and Derrick Rose. Andrew, what are your thoughts on the additions the Pistons have made in the offseason here?
Well, I tweeted out on, I think it was Saturday, that if the Pistons were to sign Derrick Rose, I do value the scoring punch that he can bring us off the bench, but you can't ignore the injury risk, so I would need it to be on a short-term deal. And I would need it to be on a cheaper contract, because we don't have the money to pay to just dole out cash like that. And 2, I just don't see the value in paying big bucks to Derrick Rose. But we got him on a 2-year, $50 million deal, which is just a little bit more than you were paying Ish Smith. I do not know if that second year is a player option or a team option or what the deal is.
I believe it's just a straight-up player. I believe it's just a
straight-up 2-year deal. I would like the better if it was a team option. But anyway, the relatively short-term deal kind of mitigates that risk. And for just a little more than you're paying Ish Smith, you're getting much better scoring off the bench.
Do you kind of notice something about the Pistons' offseason moves and what they were willing to do with some of these guys they brought in terms of length of contract? Tony Snell on a 1-1. Derrick Rose on a 2. Andre Drummond, 2 years left.
2021.
Blake Griffin, 3 years left. They're gunning for that 2021 offseason where everybody comes off the books.
But let's be honest here. Do we really think the Pistons are going to attract major players? Like,
No. Again, no. However, I think they're going to at least try, and they'd be willing to overpay for somebody.
Yeah,
so
I agree. I mean,
now,
it's better than not preparing for an offseason.
You mentioned the injury issues with Derrick Rose. Yes, last season was a resurgent season for him. He averaged 18 points per game. However, he still only played 52 games or 51 games. He still had injury problems and did not play most. I mean, he played most of the year, but that's not a lot of games.
I don't expect the full season out of Derrick Rose.
I don't either. But again, you're probably paying $7 million for about 50 games of Derrick Rose. So you have to understand that going into it. And honestly, when I first heard about it and heard the $7 million figure as being just a little bit more than Ish Smith, I was kind of lukewarm on it at first. And
then you saw other guards being paid.
And then I saw, and one in particular, I was very lukewarm on the Derrick Rose deal at $7 million a year for 2 years. And then I saw what Corey Joseph got from the Kings at 3 for 37. I went, okay, that's not so bad. I mean, if Corey freaking Joseph is getting 37 mil over 3.
Contracts we're seeing right now, it's making Blake Griffin look like a value contract.
Well, yes and no. But because Blake Griffin's deal ends up pushing 40 mil.
Did I miss something with the CBA with like the...
No, the cap went up again.
That's what. See, I missed that. I didn't know the cap went up.
It steadily increases every year.
Yeah. I've seen $35 million contracts getting thrown at players.
Right, yeah. I saw quite large deals get thrown out this offseason.
The Warriors have said they're going to...
I don't think that situation's done.
The Warriors said they're going to trade him.
Right, because they said that they're going to be trading him, just a matter of when. And
when I saw the news drop that they did a sign trade deal, I'm like, how does that work?
What, D'Angelo Russell?
Yeah, on the Warriors.
I mean, it works because he can play the 2 and Steph will play the 1 and Clay's out at bare minimum until like the last 2 months of the year. So, I mean, it works in that respect.
Yeah, while Clay's out, it works, and then you get a goal.
Yeah, and then he comes back, and then you got a problem. Yeah. But I believe the situation with Andre Iguodala was it was a punishment for him basically being a whistleblower on the training staff for the Wizards, or not the Wizards, the Warriors.
And they gave away a first-round pick to trade him.
A future first round that's like in 2024.
Heavily protected.
It's also heavily protected. It's not that big of a deal. But I was just... Once they said that they're going to be trading him, just a matter of when, it was very intriguing to me because that tells me that they're looking to just straight up move him right away. Names I've seen thrown around include Bradley Beal. I've seen a few other names get thrown around as well, but Beal was the biggest one I've seen. So I'd be curious to see what happens in that situation.
But back to Derrick Rose, how encouraged are you or were you by his resurgence last season? Do you think that this is something that Derrick Rose can replicate, or was it more so the benefit of playing under Tom Thibodeau for most of the year?
I think it has to do with him playing under Tom Thibodeau, as well as the fact that they used him in spurts. He really only had a 1 month tear where he was really good, and then he really leveled off. I was pretty encouraged by his resurgence, but at the same time, you got to understand he still only played 50 games. That kind of simmers it down a little bit, but I definitely think he can be a productive player for this Pistons team, as provided he stays healthy, a good scoring option off the bench, a playmaking option off the bench. He's terrible defensively, don't get me wrong, he's straight up a turnstile, but he's somebody who can make plays for you offensively and bring a scoring punch, which is obviously something that this Pistons team desperately needed. Coming into the offseason, obviously Ish Smith wasn't going to be that scoring punch, and he was going to be getting roughly the same deal anyways, and they needed to bring scoring off the bench, and that's what D-Rose is going to bring them. So,
dude, if I saw in the future, like 8-10 years ago, and I see like headline like Pistons with Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin, I would have been...
Oh my God, I'd be telling you that we're like championship number 1 options, but in reality, we're still like a borderline playoff team. Which actually brings me to my next point of... What is, obviously seeing the moves we've seen this offseason looks like moves that the Pistons want to continue to compete, but then you have the draft pick of Sekou Doumbouya, which tells me that they're, punting for a couple of years to let him develop. Yeah. What are we doing here? What are we trying to do here? Are we trying to compete, or are we trying to build for the future?
It's pretty clear they're not trying to bottom out. But,
right, they're trying to keep Tom Gores happy,
But
obviously.
At the same time, I do think they're built like what we discussed few minutes ago.
The fact that they're refusing to give anybody longer than a 2-year deal.
They're trying to build with the future in mind, particularly 2021.
But honestly,
So I guess they're treading water.
So there's a lot of fans out there that are so high on the Pistons offseason with the additions of Tony Snell and Doumbouya, who is not going to contribute right away.
I mean, I think it's a solid offseason given what your possibilities were.
Right. I won't necessarily disagree, but at the same time, does it really make a difference in the grand scheme of things in terms of what you're going to finish up in the East? Because I don't really think it does. No, because going through, I'm just
saying if you told me beginning of the offseason we get Tony Snell, Derrick Rose, and get what I consider a bit of a steal and Sekou Doumbouya at 15, I'd be pretty happy with that.
I mean, don't get me wrong, but again, Doumbouya is not going to contribute.
Oh, I know. I'm not saying he is.
So, but going through because you're not contending for an Eastern Conference title. Mm-hmm. You're not contending for a top 5 seed here. Just by looking at the rest of the Eastern Conference, the East is wide open for 6 teams.
Agreed.
You're not one of them. Mm-hmm. The Bucks. I'm just going through offseason acquisitions for the Eastern Conference teams that were in the playoff conversation last year. 1 seed, Bucks. Brought back Chris Middleton. Brought back Brook Lopez. Added Robin Lopez. Plus you add in Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yes, they lost Malcolm Brogdon, but it's okay.
Who also got paid.
Yeah, he did. But they were a 62-win team. They were far better than you, clearly. Mm-hmm. My laptop just started talking. The Raptors. They're in a little bit of a holding pattern.
We need so much more because it's kind of fitting.
I know. It did say we need so much more.
Your laptop has an opinion.
I guess. The situation with the Raptors is still an unknown. You don't know what Kawhi's going to do, whether or not he's going to the Lakers, Clippers, or staying in Toronto. You don't know what Danny Green's going to do. I don't expect Danny Green to be back. Mm-hmm. But even then, Marc Gasol's back. You still have Lowry. You still have Siakam. You still have Van Vliet. That team, without Danny Green and without Kawhi, is better than you day one. They're still better than you. The Sixers. They brought back Tobias Harris, brought in Al Horford, and they also added Josh Richardson in the Jimmy Butler trade. They're better than you. They're probably one of the top teams in the East. The Celtics.
I thought the offseason moves, they got them better than us.
No, I know. But that's my point. But that's part of my point.
Yeah.
The Celtics. Yes, they lost Kyrie. Yes, they lost Terry Rozier, who I actually think is a positive more than a negative because he was a problem in the locker room. Mm-hmm. Yes, they lost Al Horford, but they added Kemba Walker, and I still don't think they're done. Mm-hmm. They're better than you. The Pacers. They were better than you without Oladipo, and now they added Malcolm Brogdon and Jeremy Lamb, and they get Oladipo back. They're way better than you. The Nets. They were better than you last year.
Well,
they added Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant and DeAndre Jordan. Yep. Granted, Durant's not going to play, but DeAndre Jordan, Kyrie, Joe Harris, Karis LeVert, still got Dinwiddie. They're better than you. The Magic brought back Vujicic, added Terrence Ross, added Aminu, or brought back Vujicic and Terrence Ross, added Aminu and Michael Carter-Williams, and their draft. There's a legitimate argument that you could be better than that team, but that was a 7 seed who was better than you last year. Mm-hmm. Don't know. You're probably on par with the Magic.
Again, we're treading water, like I said.
The Heat. They missed the playoffs last year.
But they got Jimmy Butler.
But they added Jimmy Butler, and I'm pretty sure they're keeping Goran Dragic, and they got rid of the problem in Hassan Whiteside. They're better than you. What are we doing here? There's legitimately 8 teams that could be better than you in the Eastern Conference.
They're treading water.
If you miss the playoffs next year, how bad does that look?
They're too scared to bottom out. They don't want to take the dive, and
because Tom Gores won't let them.
They don't have the wherewithal to improve enough to actually be a competitor. They don't have the assets to do that. Now
they can.
I want to know your take on this. A lot of people have been speculating that the Derrick Rose move makes the case stronger for the potential departure of Reggie Jackson. Do you think there's a move brewing where we ship Reggie out of town? Because I'm not seeing it.
I hope so. Honestly, God,
I hope so, but I'm not seeing it because I don't see how I can't rely on Derrick Rose for my starting.
No, I can't either. But honest to God, I want the Pistons to make a move here. They have a lot of money in expiring deals that is very attractive to the right team.
What I said last show when you asked me, I said I want to see
you have
ship a big name out.
15 to 17 mil in Reggie Jackson's expiring deal. Mm-hmm. You have 5 to 7 in Langston Galloway's expiring deal. Mm-hmm. You can turn that into something quite nice.
Yeah.
Pretty sure you could turn it into something quite nice. If you turn John Lure into a first-round pick and Tony Snell, you could turn Reggie Jackson, who, mind you, had a very solid season last year, and Langston Galloway, who on the right team in the right situation is a good fit, with their expiring deals.
And Jackson's contract is looking like a value now, too.
Exactly. You could turn it into something quite nice. So do it.
16 million
please.
Is wait, what Corey Joseph's 3 years, 50,
37.
37.
So he's roughly just under 13.
Yeah. So a little bit less than Ray Jackson's getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and honest to God, as much as I don't like Reggie Jackson most of the time, he's better than Corey Joseph.
Yeah. Brogdon's one getting paid $350.
Brogdon got paid, and he deserved to.
Yeah,
Brogdon's
I love
a beast.
Yeah, I love Brogdon.
Granted, he's got the foot issue that kept him out for a lot of last season, and may keep him out this year as well if it bothers him. But my point is, you've got tradable assets that are no good to you if they leave this offseason. My point, like, if Reggie Jackson and Langston, if you let Reggie Jackson and Langston Galloway just leave this offseason, does that really do you any good? Because that's not going to be part of the big offseason of 2021, which is arguably the greatest offseason in basketball history. That's timing's not right. So maybe you go and get a guy on a 2-year deal. Maybe you trade those guys and bring in a young asset that's got 2 years left on his deal, or not even a young asset, or just a guy I left with on a bad contract that has 2 years left that can be serviceable for you right now, and a pick. You know, add to your draft capital, add to your assets here. Like Reggie Jackson is not going to win you any titles. All right, he's not going to be the difference of you being better than the Nets. He's not. Reggie Jackson had a very fine season. I became a fan of him again last year. But we have to be smart with the assets that we have, and his contract is now considered an asset because it's expiring.
Agreed.
It's coveted.
Agreed.
And it's good money.
Oh, I agree 100%.
I've also heard rumors that Blake could be on the move during the season, but I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I've heard rumors about everyone except Drummond because, Goris will ex-nate that one.
They are straight up best friends. Why? But why? I don't understand
I don't know the
the
relationship dynamic. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
honest to God, my one hope for the Pistons' future is in 2 years from now, Andre Drummond says, I'm leaving, I want to go win somewhere. I like Drummond a lot. He's a good player. I don't think this team can win with him.
You like Drummond a lot. He's a good player. You want the best for him.
I don't think this team can win with him.
I know.
I hope he says, I need to go win somewhere. No problem. Nothing wrong with it.
That's what I've been waiting for Blake Griffin to say, but I don't think that's happening.
He's too nice.
He is. He's very nice. So is Drummond.
Drummond's a nice dude, but Drummond's a little bit more of a head case at times. He's a lot more of a head case than Blake Griffin. He gets inside himself a little bit more. Blake Griffin tends to stay level-headed and remain a leader. He's a lot more mature also, granted he's a little bit older.
Yeah.
But I like Andre Drummond. He's a good player. I just don't know that we can win with him in anywhere near the future. So let's do something here. We've got things that we can move.
Yeah.
We've got moves we can make. Let's make them.
Yeah. And there's teams out there that want a big and still value the kind of production that Drummond gives. So
right. I'm not saying trade Drummond or Griffin right now. I'm just saying that there's a possibility and we can make it happen.
Yeah.
I am saying that I would like to see them make a big trade, whether it be from someone in their core. So one of those three needs to go. And right now, the player I think you'd get the most return for.
You want to bottom out a little more.
Well, the player you get the most return for with the least impact on the roster as it currently is, trade Reggie Jackson.
Yeah.
That's
right
that's
now,
your
your
opportunity.
trajectory is back to the lottery, 8 seed. That's your trajectory right now.
And I honestly don't think Reggie Jackson moves you that far out of it.
Which is the most useless place to be in the NBA.
Yes, it is. It quite literally is the most useless place to be.
But it seems like the Pistons' comfort zone. I mean, it's where they've been the past
4 years. I mean, come on.
But and as this taping, we've had one more free agent signing. This happened just a couple hours before we went live. Pistons grabbed a third-string point guard in Tim Frazier, former Bucks, Wizards, Pelicans backup.
On a vet min. It's not a bad signing because you got to have some insurance for one of those two guys. Yeah. And Tim Frazier gives you that. He's played productive minutes in the past in recent years. Yeah. He's a point guard. He's this team's Jose Calderon. Yeah. He's just better than Jose Calderon.
Exactly. That was going to be my take exactly. At least it's not Jose Calderon.
Exactly. He's better than Jose Calderon.
So, I mean, yeah, it's not the flashiest. It's not exactly.
It's a smart move.
Well, there probably were better point guards than on the market even, but it's
not on a vet min.
Yeah, it's a guy who can get on a vet min that I think is serviceable. So.
Absolutely. I like the moves the Pistons have made in this offseason. I like them a lot. I think Tony Snell is a very good player. A perfect player for what you needed.
Oh, yeah.
I think Derrick Rose is a good story and a guy who's trying to make a comeback. It's a player you needed. You needed scoring off the bench. I just hope he stays healthy. I think Tim Frazier fits a need. But you're not done. You need to bring in a power forward to play backup minutes and a backup center to play backup minutes. Because I don't need to see Thon Maker out on the floor for that long every night.
Well, what money now? Because you use up your MLE.
Well, no, you didn't. You still have part of your MLE left, and you still have the biannual exception left.
Yeah, no, but you don't have enough. You don't have enough of your MLE
to bring in a third power forward or a backup center. Yes, you do. JaVale McGee will be on the biannual exception, and you spend the rest of your MLE, and you spend your biannual exception to bring in a different guy. Jared Dudley would be your BAE.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to next. Is the guy they've been discussing with is Jared Dudley? Do you think that's enough to get him?
Yes,
and I don't see Jared Dudley be a 3 more. He has played 4. I still
he would be your backup 4. He'd play 4 minutes.
7 it still feels small.
He'd play 4 minutes for you.
Do you want to see us grab JaVale McGee?
Yes, I do. He can provide some floor spacing and some interior presence. He'll play 10 minutes a game. I mean, how badly can JaVale McGee hurt you in 10 minutes?
It would be really, at the very least, he'll get you some Shackton highlights.
Yeah.
But no, you're right.
Maybe I'll get myself a JaVale McGee jersey.
He's a very talented center who can be very productive.
I wouldn't go that far.
It's just he's got to get his head in the game.
A little? How about a lot?
I'd just say he's got to get his head in the game. I didn't even say a little or a lot.
No, I mean, he definitely has the ability, but he just hasn't panned out, and a lack of focus is a major portion of that. But even at bare minimum, he's a guy who will provide some floor spacing because he can run the floor a little bit. He'll provide some interior presence on both sides of the ball, and he'll go in there and he'll get you 4 or 5 hard fouls, and you'll be happy with that. I mean, what's wrong with that? He'll play the Joel Anthony of this team. That's fine. I'm good with that, but he's better than Joel Anthony, so I'm really good with that. And he's cheap.
Yep.
Cheap is good. Cheap is very good. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I would be very happy if we brought in both Jared Dudley and JaVale McGee. I think that would be two.
We could really use a 3-point shooter off the bench. A lot of Pistons fans want Tolliver.
Yeah, but that's purely just because they miss Anthony Tolliver.
It is a needed position.
It is.
That can actually shoot.
But I would be very happy if we brought in Jared Dudley and JaVale McGee. They would be quality moves in my mind.
Yeah.
They'd be smart quality moves.
And one last thing, there was something I noticed on Twitter and I thought was really funny. We now have 2 of the 3 cover athletes from NBA 2K13, Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin. You thought maybe you could have used that as a pitch to get.
Who was the other one? Was it Paul
KD,
George?
KD.
Oh, it was KD. That's right.
We should have used it as a pitch, man. That should have been our pitch. Just complete the Trinity.
You didn't have the money.
Mid-level exception, complete the Trinity. You're not even playing. Here you
go. Speaking of which, did you see the 2K20 covers?
Yeah.
Anthony Davis literally not even in a jersey, so that was. I thought that was interesting.
Short sleeve jersey.
Yeah. It's covered. There's no logo. Yeah. And then the Legends one.
I think it looks sick.
The Legends edition with Dwayne Wade in that Miami Vice uni is, honest to God, the coolest. The coolest cover, not only on a 2K game, but in sports game history. Wow. It is awesome.
I never get the Legends editions, the extra editions of games.
I'll tell you right now,
I'm considering it just for that cover.
Yes, it is quite literally the coolest cover on a sports game I have ever seen. It is quite literally awesome. Whoever did the artwork for that deserves a fucking raise.
That's mostly exciting.
Damn, excuse my language.
That's the most. Can we get one unexplicit tag? That's mostly excited I've been for a cover since the Calvin Johnson and Madden 13 cover.
But see, I didn't even like that cover that much.
But it was fun because we got Lions. It
was a Lions player, which is cool. But it was better than Peyton Hillis. Let's be real. You want to talk Madden curse? That dude literally just never had a career afterwards. But it honestly, God, whoever did the artwork deserves a raise because it's seriously the coolest sports game cover I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I was when I saw it, I was like, damn, that looks sweet.
Yeah. They changed up the whole color scheme of the cover.
I know.
Vice jersey. I love it.
Like, honest to God, that is the first time I will consider buying a Legends edition of one of a sports game, because we've had Legends editions for years in Madden. We've had them for years in 2K.
What, extra $30 for it or something like that?
I may do it.
Yeah.
Like, I may, just because it looks sweet.
Yeah.
Looks a hell of a lot better than the Anthony Davis one. Just looks generic. Like, it's the same cover that's always been.
Yeah.
This one looks cool. It's different.
I bet you it's gonna sell like hotcakes in Miami.
Oh, it's gonna sell like hotcakes everywhere. Who is it? Let's be real. Who isn't a Dwayne Wade fan?
No, I know, but like I feel like it's gonna be the biggest Miami where people are just gonna fork up the extra money just for the cover.
Yeah, absolutely. But be honest. Do you know anybody who doesn't like Dwayne Wade? Because I don't.
I'll be honest, no.
Everybody loves Dwayne Wade. He's just a really good guy, an awesome player to watch for years, and always gave his all to his team.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of the coolest things, is he was one of the few guys that were didn't want to leave in their heyday to build a super team. He was always there. Yeah. He built it.
He brought the super team to him.
I know. Now, let me ask you this, though. Speaking of super teams, if Kawhi Leonard were to go to L.A., is that a weaker move than KD going to Golden State?
I would say no.
I say yes.
Because LA was not a championship contender before this.
Doesn't matter.
And they didn't lose to LA in the championship. That's what KD got all the flag for. But
doesn't matter. I say yes because, one, you won a title previously. You're leaving that team to go build a super team. You weren't a super team before. You're leaving that team to go build a super team. Two, you're doing it in a very convenient time in the Western Conference, building a super team. Three, you're straight up a snake because you left your championship team and you're letting down an entire country.
An entire country.
Four, you've always been the guy that's never wanted to share the limelight. It's why you loved being in San Antonio. It's why you loved going. That's why you went to Toronto. Why you wanted to go. Why you were happy in Toronto. You've never wanted to share the limelight. You've always wanted to be the guy.
Yeah.
You won't be the guy in LA. You have LeBron and AD there. It's a weak move in my mind.
Oh, I didn't say it's not a weak move.
I think it's a weaker move just because you're doing it purely for one reason and one reason only. Build your own, two reasons only. Build your own brand, selfish, and win a championship, selfish. And guarantee a championship, selfish. I don't like it. I hate it.
Never said I didn't like it.
And Kawhi's a guy where, granted, I've soured on him a lot because of how dirty he did San Antonio. He's a guy I've at least respected for always wanting to do it himself. Yeah. And always wanting to do it the right way.
He did it the right way with Toronto.
He did it the right way with San Antonio. He did it the right way with Toronto. He's always done it the right way. I want to see him continue that. He's one of the few guys willing to do that. You know who should go to LA?
Blake Griffin.
For what? They've got nothing left.
Let him win something.
Well, but let's be real. First off, he was already in LA. It didn't work. Second off, what would we get in return? They've got nothing left. They have no draft picks. They have no assets.
Unless they give us Kuzma not doing it, they're not going to Kuzma. So,
well, honestly, I'd want more than Kuzma for Blake.
I just want to shed the contract, get some draft picks, but they don't have draft picks. So, anyway,
my point exactly.
On that note, do you have anything else to add before we sign off?
Not really.
All right.
I mean, great so far. Let's do this. Let's end with this. Give me a grade for the Pistons offseason so far.
I'll give you an A-, and I would actually bump it up to an A+ if we ship some contracts out of town.
You're a little bit higher than me. I'm going to say it's a B+, mainly because I feel like there's two different directions this team is going in. And it's confusing as to what the future holds for this team. Are we building for the future, or are we building for now? Are we trying to win, or are we trying to rebuild? And I'm seeing moves that go in each direction, and that tends to tell me that there's a lot of issues in the front office and what the actual... That tells me that the front office isn't on the same page. Yeah. So I'll bump it down under an A because of that. However, the moves they've made have been quality. So that's why I'm at a B+. All
right. That is fair. Thank you guys for tuning in.
We thank you.
Hopefully we have more free agency, Pistons free agency news to talk about next week.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Absolutely. I would hope so.
Hopefully it's not the last of the Pistons free agency moves.
Right. But again, guys, thank you for listening. We hope you enjoy your holidays. If you live in Canada, happy Canada Day. If you live in New York, happy Bobby Bonilla Day. And if you live anywhere inside the U.S., and I guess the rest of the world, because freedom, happy happy Independence Day. Enjoy your 4th of July. Be safe. Don't blow any body parts off. Don't blow anything up, set any fires. Don't hurt yourself. Don't get too drunk and get sick. Don't get too drunk and drive. Just don't drink and drive. Just be safe. Have a lot of fun. Do it the right way. Enjoy your time off if you're having time off, and enjoy your extra pay if you don't.
Don't shoot Balrog's age or don't shoot Roman Candle's age.
But why? That's fun.
You said be safe. I'm giving
True.
disclaimers.
Okay. Don't listen to me. Be safe. Well, anyways, guys, have a good one. Enjoy the holidays, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you to Detroit Sports Podcast. Check us out on our live show, www.twitch.tv/thefanreport. Follow us on Twitter @RealFanReport. Follow Detroit Sports Podcast @Detroit Podcast. And Andrew, I thank you. Let's make sure we make some plans this week for the 4th. And we'll see you guys next week. Thank you again.
Peace.
Peace.